guys, welcome back to an episode of Off the Shelf. I'm Time HD, and this week we found off the shelf was...
主君を殺し腹心を殺しまた友を殺しまた手をと修羅猛襲の果てに狂い死にした蜘蛛の巣城主鷲津武時の怪奇な一生
Throne of Blood, also known as Spiderweb Castle, released in 1957, a film by Akira Kurosawa. This film is a Shakespearean tragedy, also an adaptation of the Shakespearean tragedy of Macbeth. This film is also credited as one of the best, if not the best, film adaptation of Macbeth. Even though it did have some creative liberties, it's in feudal Japan, and there is a couple things different with it. It's very faithful of what I've heard. Of course, I've never seen or read the original Macbeth, so I'm just doing this as word of mouth, so take it with a pinch of salt. But I will say, I love Akira Kurosawa. I think he was one of the greatest directors possibly ever. I do think he was a brilliant mind, and I truly think that he just had a mind for cinema that not many other people have. Truly a cinematic genius, in my opinion. And this film, absolutely no doubt in my mind that it is one of probably the best films that came out around its time. Truly an amazing, amazing film. And, I mean, I don't really know if I can put words... I mean, I'll say words, but I don't know if they'll do them justice, right? I feel like you'll just have to see the film to really get the max amount of experience. But, essentially, this film is just amazing. Right, it's the black and white and the performances and the shot, like the camera shots. Really liked how static it was. I liked how ominous the film was. I liked kind of how creepy the film was because, I mean, the film does have a pretty, like, foreboding nature, right? Like, the whole film does, you know, with, like, an evil spirit, you know, telling a prophecy to these two guys, one being the Japanese version of Macbeth, the other one, I believe... I can't remember his name off the top of my head. I think it was like a weird name, but it was his friend, right? They were friends, and eventually he tells this prophecy to his wife, Macbeth does, or the Japanese Macbeth. You get what I mean. He tells it to her, and she kind of corrupts his mind, right? And kind of uses her own ambitions and thirst for power to kind of poison Macbeth into, like, just kind of piling up corpses and killing people to remain in power, right? And honestly, I don't hate the wife as much as I hated the girl in Ran, but I still hate her, right? Because she's like, and she's like just pure evil. Like, you can understand where the girl's coming from in Ran, but in this one, she's just evil. She just wants power, right? And when she, like, I don't know if this sounds fucked up, but when her baby dies and she goes insane, I was like, yeah, let's fucking go. Fuck you. I don't know if that makes me a bad person, but I don't care, because fuck that bitch. She was the true villain of this movie, in my opinion, because if it wasn't for her, Macbeth wouldn't have killed the king, he wouldn't have killed the Great Lord, he wouldn't have killed his friend, and he wouldn't have gone insane, and he wouldn't have gotten as hungry for power as she was. He wouldn't have gone crazy, and he would have just, like, it would have been fine without her. If she wasn't there, it would have been fine. But no, she had to... you know what I mean. But, yeah, this film was just really good, as I said. Also, I just think the black and white, really adds to the film, as I said. I just really like the black and white. I really like, yeah, the visual was very moody, you know, it was very, I don't know, ominous, like I said before. Like, the visuals were just very nice to look at, but they were also very, like, you get what I mean. But the visuals are very nice. Very, very nice. As I said before, performances, the writing, all of it was top-notch, but it was just overall enjoyable. Because the thing about this film, I think it might be more accessible than Ran, because obviously Ran is super long, it's super slow-paced. I think this film, obviously being shorter, not even 2 hours, I think even you could get some enjoyment out of this film. I highly recommend it. I mean, I'm just putting it out there. I think people should watch this movie, you know, because I think Kurosawa, as I said, one of the greatest directors of all time, in my opinion. I truly think he deserves more respect from modern audiences. I mean, if people who've not even heard of him, or have just kind of heard of him through passing words, I truly believe that you should watch this film. And maybe this is even a good entry point into Kurosawa, because, I mean, a lot of his films are very long, so maybe you could start with this film, and then you could get into the longer films, and you could get more into it. Because this film, incredible. Really, really good movie. As I said, I didn't enjoy it as much as Ran, but, I mean, Ran, it's Ran, right? One of the greatest films I've ever seen. So, obviously, that's a high bar to match. And I think this film was just really, I don't know. I know I'm repeating myself, but, as I said, it's hard to describe this film in words, because I'm simple boy brain, right? It's hard for me to describe it. You just gotta watch it, and you'll get it, right? You either get it or you don't, and I got it, right? It's just really, 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 really good film. And overall, highly recommend it. Obviously, you know, Shakespeare fans, you know, fans of, like, tragedies in general. If you're a fan of Macbeth, of course, if you haven't seen this film, highly recommend it. And overall, if you just want to watch, like, a very engaging, enthralling film, I highly, highly recommend it. And why I might say I like this film as well, another reason is, obviously I've talked on and on about the visual nature, but it just really has to be said, the gray, it's not even really black and white, it's just kind of gray. It was very clearly a stylistic choice because of how low the contrast is, because of, it really adds to the eerie and the foreboding nature of the story. And also the interactions with the characters, I really like the dialogue, I really like how, what they're saying, you know, you really gotta pay attention, I really like that. You know, I also like how I like the motivations. I just really like the story itself, right? I mean, everybody knows the story of Macbeth. I feel like a lot of people who know Shakespeare know the story of Macbeth. I actually I don't know Macbeth as well as other Shakespearean tragedies or stories. I kind of had to look it up before, but then as I was looking for it, I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that, and then I remember that. So, like, I remember it, but I just, like, you gotta, like, unlock it, like a key, you know, like, in my brain. So, yeah, I just really like this story, and it's just, the reason it's entertaining is just because of all the things that add together. Like, there's all the static shots, and there's all the very still shots, like everything, every little tiny detail just, like, adds together to, like, add this perfect, like, mixture that makes such an incredible film, such as this one. And I really think that, again, I'm not really the best person, because I'm not a super huge guy who knows the big ins and outs of movies. I usually just watch movies to have fun with it, but I do know, even though with my little knowledge of the inner workings of movies, that this one was very, very, very well done. Right. I mean, obviously, before I get to recommends, I think maybe my last little remark is that this film was obviously incredibly influential, very important in the history of cinema. Obviously, this film was very, very prominent, and I think it is very important. And for that, I think we should thank it, because it is very good. And with that being said, I would highly recommend this film. You know, if you're a Shakespeare fan, if you're a Macbeth fan, obviously you should definitely see this. Or if you just if you're just a fan of tragedies in general, not even just Shakespearean ones. Like, obviously tragedies don't need to be Shakespearean. But if you just like this style of movie, or style of story even, highly recommend it. Highly, highly recommend it. And if you're trying to get into Kurosawa, I think this is a good place to start. Really, really strong film. Highly recommend it. And yeah, I think I'd rate this film a 8.5 out of 10. Very, very good. Highly recommend it. And yeah, I think I'm something to say. I think I'm something peace. So guys, I hope you like this video. Share, friends, subscribe, turn notifications on, comment down below if you liked it. And I remember Time HD. Off to take the throne. I wish I had, like, a sword, but shh. I was kind of beatboxing there, what the fuck?